Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, even. This is part 2 of the series, which is called I Love Them But ... where I take a band I love and then I give you 10 reasons or 10 things about them that I don't love so much. I'd even go too far to say I hate about that band. Thus, creating an equilibrium between hate and love. And of course, it's the exposition of the great dialectic, which with this band is very apt, because this band can be overly wordy and pretentious, exploring all sorts of highfalutin spiritual ideas. Today we're talking about Yes. I have 10 things about Yes that get on my nerves, right? Some of them aren't so bad. Some of them are absolutely terrible, and they are crimes against music. Now, I have to say, I absolutely love Yes. Even on their worst albums, if they are pursuing the Yes sound, and there's a very specific sound, if they are pursuing that sound, then I like it because I love the sound of Yes. And I think that Yes are a much maligned band. They are as great as the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or even Led Zeppelin, and they should be thought of as in the same category of those. And in fact, their achievement, I believe, is even greater than those bands. In terms of musical achievement from a blockbuster rock band, Yes, the only one that could probably compete with them is maybe Jethro Tull. Incredibly deep, complex music that sold millions, right? So you do understand I like Yes. I do like Yes. I love them very much, right? But there's a number of things I hate about Yes, and I'm going to go through them now, right? So we're going to start at number 10 and then go through. This is sort of ranked. And as we go through this, you're going to see certain themes emerging that's really, rather than just being 10 separate things, there's a certain entity perhaps going through this, and I don't quite know what that is. I will explore that as we go through the video. But anyway, I'm treading water, aren't I? You just want to hear, the things I don't like about Yes. Now, at number 10, I have simply put the name Steve Howe. Now, how could I put Steve Howe on the list? Steve Howe is an integral member of Yes. Without Steve Howe, there would probably be no Yes as we know it. So how can you put Steve Howe on the list? Do you not like his guitar playing, Andy? I love his guitar playing. Well, what is it? Do you not like his input on the albums? No, I loved it. Well, when he came in on the third album, the Yes album, do you not think he gave the band a big kick up the bum and made them even way better than they were before? Without a doubt. I do think that. I do think that. But in the sort of wrangle that's gone on between those members, and this wrangle's gone over 40 years, there's been a wrangle going on, right? Yes, right? There's how many Yeses have there been, right? And the thing with Yes is there is such signature players in it. Yes, it really is a band that's made out of the actual sound of the players. John Anderson's sort of high-pitched choir boy from up north, who has gone through some sort of LSD transformation. That voice, it's not just integral to Yes, it embodies progressive rock. As soon as I hear someone go, "Hey, Flake Owen," I know where I am. I'm in Yes world, right? Chris Squire, one of the most sort of iconic bass sounds there is. Right, the great Bill Buford on the first few albums of that real tin can, like high-tuned snare drum cutting through everything. Absolutely iconic. And then Steve Howe's virtuoso guitar playing. The sort of cross between flamenco and classical and slide Hawaiian guitar, Charlie Christian jazz guitar, all these different techniques and approaches. But it always sounds like Steve Howe, doesn't it? Absolutely incredible. And then Steve Howe's vocals contributed to the beautiful 3-part harmony coming through the Everly Brothers, Crosby, Stills and Nash, right? All that sound that makes Yes so great. So how could you not like Steve Howe? Well, there's a wrangle, isn't it? There's a wrangle. And as that wrangle's gone on, some people have gone, and they have often gotten it off, thinking you won't replace me. And many a time they do replace people, and they replace them with people that sound like the people that they're replacing. You know what I'm saying? These iconic sounds that are quite strange, they go out and find people who can sound like that, and I don't like that, right? Now, I'm not even saying Steve Howe's done that, but what's happened in all this wrangling of getting all these different players in, John Anderson being kicked out because he wasn't very well, and then the sort of parade of singers that have come in, you know, creating this sort of ersatz pseudo yes, right? All of this that has gone on, I feel right at the centre of it, okay? The people arguing over this legacy would be John Anderson, Steve Howe, and Chris Squire. That's what I feel. Rick Wakeman and Bill Bruford and Alan White to some case, but I never think Alan White came in and had such a signature sound as Bill Bruford did. But they don't care. Rick Wakeman doesn't care, right? He'll go off and do his own thing, which is what I expect from a sort of rock god. I expect them to go, I don't need you. I'll go off and, do something on ice, then get really drunk and have a heart attack. That was Rick Wake's. He just sat there, didn't care. He'll come and join it. He'll come and go. He doesn't care. Now, I felt like there was some mediation between John Anderson and Steve Howe. Okay? But I definitely come down on the side of John Anderson. I believe if John Anderson is up front and singing, it's yes. Okay? And as great as Steve Howe was in Yes, and this is the contentious point I'm about to make, you can have Yes without Steve Howe, but I don't believe you can have Yes without John Anderson, unless you're fooled into imagining that John Anderson is there by somebody doing an impression of him, which is okay. It's okay. But Steve Howe, those guitar parts are good. But I have to say, when they brought the great Trevor Rabin in and revamped Yes, it was one of the great revamps of a progressive rock band of all time. I know 125 is incredible. And Trevor Rabin also carved out a guitar sound for himself. Now, he's gone off. He doesn't care. So I feel that Steve Howe, after Chris Squire died, sort of wrestled the power. He wrestled the power. I don't know if Chris Squire was mediating in some way. I don't know. But he seems to have wrestled the power and then driven Yes down to the sort of same sound, and I would say sound problems that go right back to his own Yesterday's album. And that's, in a way, an arrogant confidence in his own abilities. Those abilities are considerable. But I believe that he is too confident that he is right. And that's going to play out through this as we go on. We're going to see that the absence of Steve Howe does have an effect, but also him being there has an effect. So Steve Howe, I feel, over the decades, is the guy that has basically ruined Yes. That's what I feel like. And I think Steve Howe, how old is he now? He's born in 1947, so he's getting on for 80. Right? Now, the other thing with Steve Howe is I'd have a lot more time for him if he hadn't turned into such a terrifying old man, right? He was okay looking in the early days. His face seemed to work, although he was a bit toothy, wasn't he? Now, you might think this doesn't matter, but I think in bands it does matter. John Anderson, looks absolutely fine. I don't know if any British people remember Hinge and Bracket. But as time went on, by the 1980s, I felt that John Anderson was looking a little bit like Hinge, I think it is. Did it look like Bracket? Right, that was more like Tony Banks from Genesis has got a bit of the Bracket. But the Hinge look he was doing in the 1980s, he's stuck with that. But I don't mind that. I can live with that. But in terms of Steve Howe, right, he has just turned into an incredibly old, skeletal, frightening-looking man. Now, I have on this video compared him to that preacher bloke that turns up with a house. In which film is it? Is it Amityville Horror? Or is it Poltergeist? It's one of those. I'm sure you've got a photograph up now of that character. I've compared him to him. I could compare it to Skeletor. There's all sort of people. I'm not going to do that cheap joke. Normally I'll put a picture of Steve Howe up now and I will dub in a scream underneath it. Well, I'll do it anyway, like this. And he's frightening, right? But I'm not going there today because this is more sensible. This video is. When I say more sensible, it doesn't mean it's entirely sensible, but it's, I think I'm making a reasonable point here about him. I think that it would be better for everybody if Steve Howe stopped going out and doing things, basically. I think he should retire, and I think he should skulk into a corner so we don't have to look at him anymore. And then John Anderson can have the band back. He can get the Banding Geeks in if any of the guys want to come in, but they don't need it. Just give the name Yes to John Anderson, get the Banding Geeks out, and then we'll all be happy. And even though John Anderson is like 81, he's sprightly. He's sprightly like Hinge. And so I think he could carry on the legacy. So that's what I've got. Number 10 is Steve Howe. So we're going to now kick into this right now. Number 9, I've got this. Yes has a series of some of the most incredible albums throughout the 70s. We know that. There's a classic period of Yes. You've got the Roger Dean covers. You've got the classic lineup. It's all brilliant, right? But there's one album that annoys me because it's so brilliant. It's a masterpiece. And it is, of course, this one here, Drama. Drama is one of Yes's greatest albums. Now, how great is it? Well, I would say it's particularly great. Machine Messiah, White Car, Does It Really Happen? Into the Lens, Run Through the Light, and Tempest Fugit. This in 1980 was a great prog album to take Yes, still playing prog from the 1970s into the 1980s. This is a great album. It's full on prog. It's a little bit heavier than you expect, and it also goes a little bit more poppier. And of course, when I put this album on, okay, every time I put this on, I go, my God, this is so much better than I remember. God, this is an amazing album. This is one of Yes's best albums. How good is Yes? Now, I have friends who believe that this is Yes's best album. Right? Now, that's all well and good. What's the problem with this? The trouble is, this album has got the Buggles in it. It's got Trevor Horn on lead vocals and a bit of guitar, I think. And then Jeff Downes on keyboards. I've got no problem with Jeff Downes. He does a brilliant job. And he has since been a stalwart, joining Asia and doing a whole bunch of proggy things. Trevor Horn went on to become one of the great producers of all time, producing Yes on the next album, 90125. But I have to say, the thing I don't like about him, Trevor Horn, is not what you expect. He's too good. He's just too good. And sometimes I wonder, why couldn't they have just carried on with this and just held their position? What would have happened? Because this is amazing. It's got one of the best covers. It's a gatefold sleeve. Look, it does this. So you've got the sort of panoramic. That's essential. Right, there they are in there. I mean, this is an amazing album. It annoys me. It's amazing. Right? I feel that this almost like signs it signs the seal of doom for Yes. And after this album, they're going to forever roam the world in these sort of zombie lineups with people coming and going, and there's someone else coming in, and basically make album after album after album, ruining the Yes name. Right? If they'd have stopped after 90125, that would have been great. Or maybe done 90125 under the name Cinema, maybe that would have been all right. But anyway, this is where it's going so right and going so wrong at the same time. Now you can see at number 9, none of these criticisms are really that bad. At number 8, I've got a couple of issues here, because number 8 and number 7, it's in the you're in the classic 70s, right? You're in the classic 70s, and you've got Yes, and they're amazing. And then for some reason, with this album, they decide not to go with Roger Dean and go with the hip and trendy Hypnosis, right? And I think that Hypnosis, right? I'm just checking it is Hypnosis because I've assumed it is. Sleeve designed by Hypnosis, photography, Hypnosis, Brimson Graphics, Colin Elgie. Yes logo designed by Roger Dean. Well, of course, that's the only good bit on this, isn't it? Right, now, Hypnosis, I feel they were they were a couple of con men, really. They wheedled their way in, right? And they became very trendy. And with the trendiness, then they brought out this idea that if some band was selling millions and millions of records, like a Yes or a Pink Floyd, then what they would do, they would come in and they would spend that vast amount of wealth by going to somewhere booking a load of hotels and then doing a load of photography that they would then take home and basically utilize it to create some sort of pun, right? Anybody who utilizes pun comedy, right, it's low. This is low stuff, but it's dressed up to be all great. So we got a bloke here dousing. So he's out and they've gone here. They've photographed this all for real. Nowadays, you can just get IOs to do that. But they've got out to wherever this rock is and set up, and they got a bloke dressed like this, probably an actor paying him a ton of money, and he's going around and dousing. Now, I don't believe that you hold a dowsing rod like that. I don't think that's how you would be dowsing. I often thought when I was a kid that he was playing an invisible drum. Okay? Now, as a cover, if you imagine it hasn't got the tomato on it, it would be pretty bland, wouldn't it, as a cover, right? But apparently they designed it without the tomato on. So that would just be rubbish. And then on the back, you've got that. It's not a gatefold, okay? And when you open it up, you get this sort of weird, what's this bloody Yes Tour ley line? Is there a Yes Tour? And is that where they went and shot this? So what am I trying to understand here? Now, why is it called Tormato? That's like a cross between tornado and tomato, isn't it? And we've got a tomato thrown at it, right? Now, you throw a tomato at something when it's rubbish. Now, this cover is rubbish, and actually, this album is rubbish. Really. And you feel with this one, right? A little bit better production. Because it's classic line. You've got classic lineup here of Yes. It should be. You've got Rick Wakeman in the band, right? And the tracks aren't too bad. The tracks are Yes, but the trouble is it's like a muddy production. It's as though they forego everything that they stood for. Who produced this? If it says Eddie Offord on, then I don't understand the world. Record engineers Jeff Young and Nigel Luby, assisted by Peter Wallinscroft and Peter Schiller. Executive to producer is Brian Lane, which I think that's not the producer. Where does it say the producer? All tracks arranged and produced by Yes. There's the mistake. Right, so this tracks aren't here. This should be a great album, right? Mix it again and get Roger Dean to do the cover, and we might be saying one of the greatest Yes albums of all time, one of the great 70s Yes albums. Buggered it up, didn't you? Yes. Now, they didn't bugger up this one, which is one of the greatest, if I can find it, is one of the greatest prog albums of all time. Now, I believe this one here, going for the one, this is what I've now got at number 7, right? Again, Hypnosis. Why did they go to them twice? This was done beforehand. Now, I have elicited too much comedy out of this. Again, this is all old material here. I mean, this is a trifold look. I don't even think I can get it in the camera. Trifold we've got going on here. And we have got, of course, the famous Naked Bottom. This came out at a similar time to Rush's Hemispheres, and I spoke about this on the last video. And I've elicited much great comedy about this, But this is one of the greatest prog albums ever made, and side 2 is perhaps the greatest side of prog ever, and Awaken is probably the greatest prog track ever. Now, again, I would like it's a little bit echoey, the mixes. I would like it tightened up a little bit. It doesn't spoil it for me, but I do feel that a little bit. And this cover, I just hate it. And it doesn't go with the music. I'm not going to go on about his bottom. I'm not going to do all the comedy routine by saying that this is Patrick. That's not Patrick Moraz. When I said that, I was lying. That's not Patrick Moraz. When I said it was Patrick Moraz and he was desperate to stay in the band, and so they sort of, said to him, well, if you, pose naked for the next album, we might leave you in. And he goes, yeah, I'll do that, And so he did the pose, and then Yes still kicked him out, as Yes would, the dirty, rotten, conning con merchants. That's what they are, con merchants. Right, so, yeah, we've got this here, but I don't want to go through all that, right? That's a model. Does he get a name check on here? I mean, we know what everyone else did on here. Let's have a look. Have they gone Naked Man with Bottom? Because these people Right, maybe he didn't want to be known. Maybe he was embarrassed by doing it, you know. Maybe when he got kids later on, he didn't want them to know that that was their dad's bottom. I don't know. Anyway, these two covers, they should have stuck with Roger Dean. How could they not stick with Roger Dean? What made them not stick with Roger Dean? You know, it's ridiculous. So we have done now 10, 9, 8, 7. So at 10 I had Steve Howe's and just a general presence that I think has been a bit of a not so good presence in recent times. And I've got Drama being brilliant, right, and having a good cover, but not having John Anderson on it, but fooling us that John Anderson's on it, because Trevor Horn sounds exactly like him, right? Then we've got the Tormato cover and going for the one cover. Now, this is all really niggly. If this is all I got, I wouldn't be doing this video, right? But from now on, we are talking about almost criminal behaviour from Yes, all right? So at number 6, I've got the album Heaven and Earth. Now, this is that Steve Howe influence, right? This sounds like Yes, it's got a brilliant cover, okay? But it's some of the most nondescript, pathetic music that you have ever heard in your life. It just sits there like a big namby-pamby splat of fluff. That's what Heaven and Earth is, right? And it's not like they're trying to write hit records or they put too many drum machines on, all the other stuff that does prog bands in. They're doing the Yes thing. But it just proves that whatever's happened in that band, right? And Steve has got dictatorial control, perhaps. Maybe that's what it is, right? But Yes should kick. And I have to be honest, Yes, when they stopped rocking, which is on Tales from Topographic Oceans, I'm afraid, they have a tendency to stop rocking there, right? And they start just faffing about a little bit, right? There's a lot of faffing, you know, there's a bit of faffing on. There's faffing on. They never faffed up before then. It was always right. I mean, it's when Bruford went. It's when Bruford went, right? And this faffing around, limp-wristed, fey, you know, prog rock type of thing, you know, where it starts to almost like go towards Clanad or something like that. We start to, we didn't start. It reaches a nadir, N-A-D-I-R. Do you know what that word means, nadir? That's what we've got here. We've got a fey-bathetic nadir. That's how I describe it. Fey-bathetic, not pathetic, it is pathetic, bathetic nadir. Look all these words up. I'm using big words today, like Yes do, probably bigger words than they do, to try and really explain the problem with this album. Heaven and Earth is rubbish, their worst album. And you would think it would have their worst song, but it doesn't. At number 5, we have the song from the album Talk, and it's called Man in the Moon. And this is, I mean, there's a lot. I've had a go at Rush, right? But if I found Rush's worst song, it would be okay. I'd probably find things about it I sort of like. Most bands I like, Led Zeppelin, even with Led Zeppelin, when I get to Hot Dog, I only don't like Hot Dog because it's silly. I mean, if I get me silly head, if I could get to a silly mode, I could probably appreciate Hot Dog. You know, it's quite jaunty. Man in the Moon sounds like this. Let's have a little bit of it, just a blast.
I am the man in the moon, and I hope to shine upon you very soon. Waiting in the night to bathe you all in moonlight. I am the man. I am the man in the moon.
So, I mean, this is like the worst music ever made by anybody. You know, I'd rather have, I mean, I was going to say I'd rather have Van Morrison, but I wouldn't. I'd rather have that than Van Morrison. So don't go over the top, Andy. You're trying to over-egg this. We're on a 10. So we've got here quite fast. I'm not normally moving this fast. I think it's because it's the top 3 for me. This is so awful. Anyway, so at number 5, I've got the song The Man in the Moon. Truly awful, right? At number 4, I've got the album Union. Now, the album Union, I don't actually mind. It's not as bad as Heaven and Earth, right? When you put it on, it gets criticised for the production, and it's overproduced. They've got a whole bunch of session plays. I mean, the reason why I don't like Union is because basically Yes started to fracture in the 1980s. And you've got a Yes, but that Yes has got John Anderson and Chris Squire in, Alan White, but it's also got Tony Kaye, Trevor Rabin. They've had this huge hit record, and that is Yes. And then Steve Howe, John Anderson, Rick Wakeman, and is it Bill Bruford? Anderson, Wakeman, Bruford, Howe. They decide to do a Yes album that's more like Yes, but isn't Yes, okay? Now, you've got to understand, us prog fans, we're a bit anal retentive, especially when it comes to Yes. Like, and I didn't like the fact that you've got, you got Big Generator with the name Yes on it. It doesn't sound anything like Yes. And then you've got Anderson, Wakeman, Bruford and Howe sounding like Yes with a Roger Dean cover. Now, I didn't like it. It was frustrating. And I didn't even listen to that album. I've heard a little bit of it. But at this point, I'm disgusted with them. This is the point. In the 1980s, I'm disgusted with Yes. 90125, I loved. I thought this is brilliant. Up until there, I loved them. Now I'm a bit disgusted by them. Then, when you think it's bad, they can decide, let's all make friends. Let's all get into the thing together. So we've got too many drummers, too many guitar players. Let's get everybody in, right? And then we won't actually play on anything. We'll just get session musicians to play on it and overproduce it and come up with a huge album of nonsense that nobody ever wants to listen to, but with a great Roger Dean cover. It's like, what are Yes trying to do? Right? Union, they should have been called Mess at this point. Mess, not Yes. This is the whole point. I don't like it. I mean, Genesis are rubbish in the 1980s, aren't they? They're rubbish. But at least they just stay Genesis. At least there's a semblance of a band. Who's Genesis? Now it's the three of them. Oh, is it really? Yeah. Do they have solo careers? Yeah, they can go out and do their own thing by doing solo careers. So they don't go off arguing. Yeah, no, Steve Hackett has never got together with Phil Collins and formed the Yes. And then Tony Banks hasn't got together with Anthony Phillips and formed Genesis. I'm getting all confused now. They're confusing me. Can you see? This is not right. No other band would do this, right? Maybe Shawaddy Waddy, right? Shawaddy Waddy have probably had many incarnations, a lot of members there. I mean, Union is like the Shawaddy Waddy of prog in the 1980s, isn't there? But you don't need a Shawaddy Waddy of prog, especially in the 1980s. So Union, again, it's a low point. It's a low point, right? Now, all the way through this, Yes seem to have, and I don't know whether it's because they're English gentlemen, but they don't really seem to have a true grasp on how to present themselves. This has gone always all the way through. Yes, they were able to hide behind Roger Dean's covers, really. But there's a sort of arrogance to Yes, especially with those key members. I think Steve Howe is responsible for this. And I also think that Chris Squire is responsible for this. They don't seem to have that sort of, when you're aware of yourself. Yes don't seem to quite have that. And so it would be very easy to start to put in the alternative video for Owner of a Lonely Heart, which is truly crap. But somebody said to them, they said, yes, what is it? That video you've done? Yeah, it's good, isn't it? We're out in desert. No, it's not. It's the 1980s now. Oh, well, what should we do? You should be in a city and being all cool and walking around. Okay, then. Can I turn into a snake in the back of my car? That's Chris Squire. No! Oh, please. And so we get this. And that's not right, okay? This is what I'm on about. Don't let Yes anywhere near the promotion of Yes, okay? Now, I really wanted to illustrate this with one simple image and put it at number 3. At number 3, I've basically got Yes's image and how awful it often is, okay? And I mean, we all have a laugh at Rick Wakeman. There he is, eating a curry with his gold cape on, and we all laugh at it. And Rick Wakeman does it as a sort of joke now. There is his gold cape. But they did it for real, and nobody batted an eyelid. Nobody batted an eyelid in the 1970s, okay? But you can get away with it once the 1980s come in, and before you know it, John Anderson looks like the the one out of Hinge and Bracket. You know, it's all going rubbish, okay? Now, this is a photo shoot they did for Keyboard magazine. And this really sums up what we're going to be looking at. So at number 3, it's their self-image, and I'm going to represent it with this. I don't know what to say about this, really. I mean, to give it to Bruford, he has come up with the design for Darth Maul way before that design. So, you know, Star Wars has... I mean, Bill Bruford has... I mean, I wouldn't have thought when this idea was posited, Bill would have been up for it, you know. I mean, if they said, oh, we got this idea, we're going to do a little bit of a Kiss. You know the band Kiss? And Bruford would go, well, are they the one that wear all the makeup? Yeah. Well, they've taken the makeup off now, but we're going to revamp that right now in the 1980s when nobody else will do this. Oh, well, that seems fair enough. I would have thought Bill Bruford goes, so what, do you want me to put makeup on? Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't want to be doing that, really. Can I just have a little bit? Like John. John's just got a few things. Now, Bruford's like, come on, oil me up. Get the paint on, right? And look at what's he doing? Look at his lips. What is he doing, Bill Bruford? That frightens me. It frightens me. Now, Bill Bruford's promised me an interview. You know, he might go off the thing now he's watched this, but I do want to know what the hell's going on here, Bill. What's going on? Right, so we got that. Steve Howe, he looks like a little kid that's had a butterfly done. You know when the little kids have the butterflies done? He's in the corner. John Anderson, he's only got a minimal amount, so you'd think it wouldn't be so bad, but for some reason, I don't get it. And then you have Rick Wakeman in the background. And Rick Wakeman, he's got that sort of, you know, those sort of trampy clowns that you get sometimes. They're like clowns that are down and out and they've grown the whiskers. You know, those types of clowns. Sad clowns. That's what he looks like. And he's even got his... I mean, the hair's terrible. And what has he got over his eyes? What's that green thing representing? I mean, what does it represent, that green thing? So, the effort went into this, right? They weren't about to get makeup artists in, and then after it was done, they were about to keep scraping away at it and get it all off, especially Bill Bruford. He could have been there for days trying to get that off, right? And to what end? To this end, which is an awful end. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Right, let's get back to the list now, if I can do that. So at number 2, right, at the same time this was going on, around about the same time, Bill Bruford and Steve Howe, and I expect more than Steve Howe. I expect more from Bill Bruford. I'd expect this from Steve Howe. They decide to go on to the Regis and Kathy Lee show and attempt to do Roundabout as a power trio. Now, they must have rehearsed this up beforehand, even just a run through. And somebody must have gone, this is terrible, we can't do this. Right, let's do another tune. Or perhaps have something with no singing on. But no, Steve Howe thought this was acceptable.
I'll be roundabout, the work will make you out and out. You spend the day your way. All this morning driving through the town, in and out the highway. The valley, in and around the lake. Clouds come out of the sky and they stand there. 1 mile over, we'll be there and we'll see you. There's 2 summers, we'll be there and laughing too. 1 mile over, 4 miles, you'll see. I'll be there with you. Da 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 da.
What do you think? Now, there's very few bands that have committed a crime against music like that, mainstream bands. That's as worse as it can get, isn't it? Here we are at number 2, and this is truly awful. And those of you who haven't seen this are now doubting if they are your favourite band. You thought, well, this started off quite gently, and Andy was just criticising album covers. And now you're here. I mean, really, what's going on there? How do we deal with this? How can we deal with a band that has committed this musical crime on video? But the thing is, believe it or not, this is not the worst thing that Yes committed to video. At number 1, I've got there now, and I had to search quite a long time to get this, and I don't know whether someone's doctored Google to protect people, and so I'm warning you. I was putting in, because I couldn't remember what show it was on, I was putting Yes, terrible performance of Owner of Lonely Heart. I couldn't find it. Then I went to AI and I questioned AI. Then I had the vague remembrance that this show was presented by somebody who's a Republican politician. He's one of Trump's lot, a guy called Mike Huckabee. And once I got that name, I was able to find it, right? This is Yes, not Bill Bruford and Steve Howe having moonlighting. This is supposedly Yes. And they go on to the Mike Huckabee show and they try to play the sample-heavy Owner of a Lonely Heart with just drums, bass, and that Benoit bloke, who always looked like he couldn't believe he'd got the gig. He never looked convincing to me. The other one, the John Davison one, at least he looks like he's played in a few bands, but Benoit David, or whatever his name is, I mean, he always looks like, I don't know, it's like, as though he's got a touch of the Michael Balls about him. But Michael Ball would have been a better choice. I always feel he just can't believe he's there. He can't believe he's there. Right? Anyway, he's singing a song that he's got nothing to do with, right? Out of a Lonely Heart. But the thing is, they arrived at this show, and then 2 blokes that are with the show, just 2 normal blokes, they're playing guitar. Right? This is truly awful. And I think, actually, after you watch this, I think it would be justified if we erased everything that Yes has done after 1985 from the face of the earth. Right? Are you ready for this?
Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Mike Huckabee.
Welcome to Huckabee, a packed show this week, and you don't want to miss a minute of it. And you're going to love this. Members of the rock band Yes will be here to play with the Little Rockers. Let's go over to the Little Rockers. We've got some special guests here today, some very, very special guests. I'm so pumped about this day. This is pretty exciting.
Nice to meet you.
Chris McGuire and Alan. My gosh, I tell you what, it's incredible. And we have a unique, it is so exciting to have you here. We're going to let you play with our Little Rockers, Joey and Bob, today, and give them a great thrill to play with the band. Yes, they'll be putting this on their websites, I'm sure, today. Great to have you here. Let's hear some music from you today.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let's hear it for Yes.
I grabbed a few of my Yes albums before this just to get me in the mood. Look, I mean, I've got this lot here. Amazing. Amazing. Brilliant. Sublimely brilliant. I've even grabbed this one. Amazing. Yes album in all but name. That one there, lovely. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, this, one of my favourite bands. Look at it all. This is a legacy. This is a legacy. Isn't it? Look, I got close to the edge. It's all here. There's only one thing we can do with this. Where have I put it? I need a lighter. Where's a lighter? I had a lighter here. Where's my lighter? I'm going to have to do something that us YouTubers, us prog YouTubers could do. I need you to keep this quiet, all right? So just keep this quiet. I don't want you to go sharing this and saying, look what Andy did at the end of this video. It's incredible.
As comfortable as you were.